I could sense that she was like, I know you. And I was like, fuck, we just opened a portal. And so when I came to, I looked at her and she was like, hey, there you are.
You are about to be informed.
Okay. Okay. In such realms of consideration, we seem to arrive at something of a paradox. Disorder is information. Order is information. How are we to move from here? As soon as we meet such a noble truth, it at once hides behind its own shadow. If there be any resolution to this paradox, perhaps it is found in a higher dimension. Such is typical, and perhaps our case maps the general. That where we find higher truth, we find paradox projected onto a lower dimensional surface. Let us consider the two-dimensional shadow of a cube. In one case, the shadow is a square, in another, a hexagon. Let us imagine a case in which our minds could only conceive of 2D structures, that 3D is beyond our scope. In such a case, we could look at the cube and only see now a square, now a hexagon, and everything in between. But as we all know, a square is not a hexagon, nor a hexagon a square. We might, in such a case, with ever deeper consideration, face something of a paradox. This may seem silly, and perhaps it is. From our natural place of comfort in 3 dimensions, we see no paradox. We see no problem. We can easily recognize that both square and hexagon are but projections of the cube. How simple it really is. But it's not so simple to the 2D thinker, forever stuck watching squares melt into hexagons and hexagons into squares. Perhaps whole societies of 2D thinkers could gather around each perspective, chanting slogans on behalf of their one-sided choice. One group chants, it's all hexagons, it's all hexagons. Even the squares eventually return to their great hexagonal source. Another group may chant quite the opposite, it's all squares. And then a third group, upon noticing the limitation in those narrow assessments, suspects that the paradox hints at something beyond 2D conception. But being 2D thinkers themselves, even they can only catalog the various patterns of change. They write equations describing with great precision how the square morphs into hexagon and back into square. Such is science, the great art of systematically ordering the patterns around us so as to describe, in our own limited dimensions of conception, those higher dimensional forms of which we see only shadow. But this is not the way. Although science can describe with great accuracy the relations and transformations of the shadows, its powers go no further. If we wish to proceed, we are left with only one option. We must proceed beyond language to direct experience. As it turns out, and I reveal here perhaps the only real key that can be said, it is our very language that binds us to shadowy world of projections. Stripped of our language, we can merge with that very thing we consider in all of its dimensions. We can be submerged. It is only our tools that bind us to the projected plane, the tools with which we think. It is where our thought ends that our direct experience of truth begins. Thus, meditation. So I suggest meditate on these simple facts. Disorder is information. Order is information. As the snake eats itself, the territory is revealed. The map's opacity is ever lessens. There's no proper word for it, but for the sake of convenience, we shall call it mind, and into mind we shall ever return. I'm
Yeah,
so
buddy.
hot.
Well, you said a whole lot there.
Yeah.
I don't mean the amount of words.
I just love it so much. I've been talking to Peggy Sue about how people's are so wrapped up in things that have nothing to do with their actual experience. And so when I read that part, I was just like, your own experience. That really feels like a big thread, a big key.
Yeah, that's something that's been kind of coming up for me ever since Neptune went into Aries. Because I asked the old chat GPT, like,
Fifth house.
what? I asked the chatbot to talk about like what was true for me in the last transit, given that it was happening in my fifth house. And so it told me a bunch of stuff. And then I was like, okay, so like what can I expect in this one? And got that detail. But like the thing that really stuck out to me was like how I had like a spiritualization of my creativity and kind of all the ways that can go. So it's like the spectrum from like fantasy to like grounded mystical truth, like that whole spectrum. And what I realized was like that kicked off in 2011. And in 2011, I had my one and only DMT experience. And it was the kind that they talk about, like the full breakthrough, not a body anymore, meeting God, not an entity, not a being, not a anything, but like the knowing. And that's where I had my very first experience of the peace that surpasses all understanding. And that converted me on the spot from atheist to a believer in God. And the thing that I've been like kind of feeling with that is there's so many times where I doubt where I'm at because the external world isn't reflecting that yet, or just is not ready for it in whatever capacity. And it just dawned on me. I was like, Jennifer Joseph Lehman, you have had a direct experience. You have had a direct experience of God and these feelings, these felt senses that have no, like, they have no ground in 2D reality. They barely have ground in 3D reality. So like the doubt don't make no sense, but actually it does because it's like my North Node and like my design Mars. So I'm like, doubt. Yeah, that's like the thing I will always contend with. But when you have a direct experience of something, ultimately you can doubt it, but it will never go away. You will always remember it at different moments. Like we all forget and we all have that amnesia moment, but like when you have a direct experience, that's yours. That's real. That's like unshakable, actually. And the doubt or the confusion is literally just a fog that, you know, our projections corroborate. Our projections create the fog. The brain, mind with a lowercase m, creates the fog. But if you clear the fog, the truth of all of your direct experiences is right there. It's just like waiting for you.
I feel like
ultimately the function of the fog.
Crying.
The function of the fog is it strengthens.
Okay. Say more.
Like,
Yeah. I have to share about my experience, but go ahead.
it's you have to pressure test knowing, like, the it's like the difference between faith and hope. Like, it's not, I mean, this is as a guilt motivation girly. Like,
got it.
The doubt gives you something to work with.
Totally.
Because if you just, okay, like, I feel like it also, you have direct experience, you have doubt, and then you work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
It's like,
You better work, bitch.
like, incarnating isn't a joke, but it is. Okay, Violet, you go.
I'm sitting in doubt and confusion like these last few days because I had an acupuncture session that also validated like a 10-year ago ecstasy experience that I was like, I know that this is real.
Yeah.
Like what I'm sensing and what I'm feeling. And then like slowly towards the end of, I'm like, okay, we can't be doing drugs anymore.
You need to, like, you do like the podcast thing where you're like, a friend that I know, someone that I've heard, a short story that I read,
A close friend, an intimate friend of mine. But towards the end of that little stint, I was like, if this little fucking chemical pill thing can mix with the chemicals in my body and create this, and I know that this is real. Like when I had that experience, I was like, I fucking knew it. Magic exists.
Yes.
Everything is a lie. But that's kind of the leaping pad for me to learn how to cultivate my natural magic and there was a lot of doubt and confusion in there. But so on my birthday last Friday, I had an acupuncture session, and I've done acupuncture before, but this is called 5 element. It's like different modality. And y'all, I got acupunctured in my perineum.
Oh, girl.
I didn't fucking know that this was going to happen for me. Anyways, it felt like a Kundalini experience. That
is wild.
And they don't, the needles aren't kept in. So she just like got the point and then was like, now pull all of the energy up. And so I was like, holy fuck. And then she did these last 2 points and I was like moving the energy. And then when I came to, I looked at her. So I already knew this was going to be a magical experience because the conversation that I had with this woman, we were like, she was like, I could sense that she was like, I know you. And I was like, fuck, we just opened a portal. And so when I came to, I looked at her and she was like, hey, there you are. And then she called me sis. And I was like, what the fuck? I know you and you know me. And she proceeds to tell me this story about when she was 8 years old. She lived in Michigan, and she lived in like the swamps of Michigan. And she went to the docks and she could feel all of the water and the algae and the lichen and the trees. And she was meditating, like not knowing what she knew then. She was just like clearing until she got to white. And then she said these three, what she perceived in her perception then was like three large Native Americans. And she was like, you're not supposed to be here. And they told her that she was going to be a shaman and a medicine woman. And then she was like, how do I do that? And they told her that the trees were going to call her people to her. And then she said they left, and surrounding her were family, her family from like the future, the past, like all timelines. Time didn't exist. And she said to me, you were there. And I'm just fucking crying. Like, we're holding each other. I'm crying. And I'm just like, holy fuck, I could see like beyond sight. I can't even explain, but it felt like a full circle of that ecstasy moment because I was just getting acupuncture, right?
Just kidding.
And this was the chemistry of my body. But my whole drive there, I was crying. Like I was feeling love and gratitude. And I felt in my bones, like I felt myself say, but understand so deep in my bones that I'm a shaman. And she said that when she had gotten the last 2 points, she was like, you were moving the energy. And I was in the corner crying because I heard that come out of you. And then I was like, holy fuck. And
buddy.
She had, yeah. And I'm just like still shook because I'm like, okay, what is life now? I'm supposed to be doing biology homework, and that makes no sense for me. And so I've just kind of been in this state of confusion and like bubbles of doubt. And I know like the work isn't complete either. And okay, I want to share this other little funny part about that. Like I didn't know what the cost was going to be. And I jokingly asked my mom, like, oh, for my birthday, can you pay for my acupuncture session? And she was like, well, how much is it? And I was like, I don't know. She's like, well, people with money should not be doing things that they don't know the cost of. And like my heart was just like but after the session, she basically was like, just name your price and like be truthful because we're meant to work together. And I'm just I haven't landed into like anchored into this now reality. Yeah. I'm so happy that I got to share this. I've been feeling so alone.
I feel like I'm like sitting on my hands like Isn't your biology homework so that you can train to do acupuncture?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Also tell the story about your psych homework, psych emails to your teacher.
Okay. Well, I haven't given you a further update because I ended up, I'm going to retake it. So I was going through like bouts of shame and failure yesterday because I was like, I need to drop this one and retry it. Yeah, so that's a different story. It's so okay. I just want to like the work that we do and having to read introduction to psychology things and the boxiness and the definition and the cognitive psychology, like it's just so fucking boring. And I'm not and I can't like it's not.
Don't worry, Violet. I'm single-handedly taking down all of academia with my thesis.
Thank you.
Like, I'm gonna rip this shit to shreds.
Because I'm like
a friend, someone I know.
My problem here is I know that I understand it, but it's just the terminology that I'm like, I don't get what's going on.
There's no pussy in it.
I don't understand what you're trying to teach me.
Period.
It's just a bunch of stiff men.
They need a needle
talking about healing.
It's true.
You've never had a needle in your ass and it shows.
Okay. I also had a needle.
My least favorite thing about
on my butt crack. She got the most vulnerable points. And let me tell you, that morning I took a shower and I looked down at my pussy and I was like, I'm not going to have to expose you today, right? And we looked at each other and it was like, nah, no.
The other door, darling. Round the back, okay?
The fact that was even a conversation should have told me something.
That's fucking true.
Right.
What were you going to say, Pipey?
Yeah.
Oh, the least favorite thing about those prescription commercials, medication commercials, is they're like, you may get a rash on your perineum. And I'm like, no, anything that's fucking with your perineum hard, no, stop it right there.
I mean, I would recommend an acupuncture point on there.
A rash, though? A rash and
not a rash.
Are very two very different.
You're right.
It's like attacking the spot, you know? They're like, take this and it'll your perineum. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
They're very sensitive.
Yeah.
Well, Violet, I wanted to say something. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying it's like the beginning point for all of the energy. Why would you want a rash there? No matter what it claims to cure.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So the thing that I really wanted to say to you, Violet, as you shared to that story, I wanted to inform you. Like kind of Karen already pointed out, wait, isn't this all connected? The biology homework and acupuncture.
I think they call that a synchronicity.
I was about to say, and what I feel in your experience is that now you have someone who has walked before you right fucking there saying, sis, I seen you. I seen you on the astral. Okay. Like you have that. Okay. And like, not to be in comparison mode, but I just like, for the world, let me just say, like, my third line ass woke up and had no context, no connections. I didn't even have friendships at that period of my life. I was in a really, just a really immature marriage. Like I have some deep, dark, fucked up relational karma. It just is. And at that point in my journey, I had worked through none percent of it. And so the man that I married first was a direct reflection of just how fucked up I was. You know what I mean? So that was like my only relationship at the time. And we had both like become atheist together and had developed a lot of logic and reasoning and our own worldview together. And then I have this direct experience, and all of a sudden it just blew everything I'd been working on for years at that point out of the water, out of it. And so like, of course, as a true seeker, I went digging, and of course I found like the Tibetan Book of the Dead. That was the very first thing that gave me context for this experience. And then found Terence McKenna and found like Ram Dass, and, just started going down the like, listen to people who've had direct experience talk about their direct experience. That was the best that I had. I had no like personal contact with anyone who had been initiated. No one around me had woken up. And so like, that was like 2011. It took me until like 2017, like after I got divorced, to like own my spirituality in public. And that's when I started talking about my reality, the reality I had been shown, what I believed was true reality. I started talking about that on Instagram in 2017, but it took me 6 years. And I feel like, to this day, there's still aspects of that I've been uncovering and discovering what that actually meant to serve in my life. And so I would just say like, dude, how blessed you are to have an already awakened body and to have this next level. Because I've heard so many people talk about this. Multiple awakenings are par for the course, right? And so to have this level of one where there's like, oh, there's a role for you here. It's clear. There's somewhere to put your energy, and there's someone who wants to be in relationship with you as you walk that path. Like, the doubt and the confusion makes total sense. And also it's like, your 3D reality is showing you the fucking path. It's not abstract. Yeah. It's your direct experience is like, it has materialized. It's
I think that's the part that like I feel shook by, and maybe it isn't doubt, maybe it isn't confusion, but I can feel that part of me that's like wanting to hang on to it, and there's still a pace, right? Like I do still have to do my biology homework. Like that's my pace that helps me pace.
My favorite Ram Dass quote is it's all grist for the mill.
Yes.
It's all grist. You just chew on that. Like this is what I was saying before as well. Like you just chew on the doubt, the
Yeah.
The only thing that keeps it there is going like, oh, what's this? And like I'm in my own version of that, like in a different way, like. But the only problem really is me thinking that there's a problem.
Yes, that part. That part.
The doubt is like the I can't go a podcast without me quoting Naoka, but she calls it the dirt coming up with the carrot.
How perfect.
Like you've pulled up a big juicy carrot and, well, would you look at that? There's some dirt on it. And it's like everything uncomfortable is for my refinement, and and everything the genism everything good is what I live my thank you to. It's like that's really the name of the game. It's like, oh, this beautiful gift has landed. Let me say thanks. And then, oh, there's a bit of dirt on it. Like, let me be with it. Like, I think that it's like it's a two-pronged approach of like, yes, I want you to have your experience of your doubt, and also as your friends, I feel like we're saying, no, you actually are doing it. Like you are it. You have been it.
Yeah.
and it's the biology homework is
I'm only talking about I'm being very cheeky about biology, but I do enjoy it.
See, also, I'm just going to say this. Everyone who awakens truly needs a chop wood, carry water job. And I don't mean like you have to go work like at the coffee shop or whatever, although that works great for a lot of people, but you need something mundane and like somewhat tedious to do every fucking day. I cannot tell you. And I mean, as a mother who loves the experience of mothering, I have no shame in saying it is fucking tedious and mundane a lot of the time. I feel like I spend 50+% of my brain power every day thinking, what am I going to feed all of us for all 3 meals? You know what I mean? Like it feels like the minutia of my life has taken the vast majority. Whereas I used to be this like, oh, I can just be in the creative realms all the time, which is so funny. Like Neptune and Pisces transiting my 5th house was exactly that. I got to just like be in the soup and the nothing solidified about my creativity. And what ChatGPT told me now that, you know, it's Neptune is in Aries and transiting my 6th house. It's like this, the everyday sacred, make every day a sacred choreography, you know, like whatever it is that you have to do, how do you infuse presence into all of it instead of like what I used to do in my daily chores is work through my, you know, laundry list of complaints, gripes, and concerns. You know what I mean? Like that really was like a tendency of my mind prior. And now, like ever since that transit hit, there's been such a, and I also feel like it has been made more powerful by my devotion to building and holding an infrastructure of power in my body that I did not have before. But what the immediate side effect is that my awareness was super dialed in to whenever I was leaving presence and being taken by thoughts. And there's like very little charge. Like when I'm in the thoughts, yeah, there's charge. But as soon as I notice it, I'm like, oh, okay, drop the thought.
Yeah.
Find your body. Here you are. Let's put some life force into washing these dishes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like for a lot of us who had gone through that phase of like the seeking, because for me, I think it was like 2009 to 2014 was like I was just doing, it was just me on my own. And then when I took ecstasy that time in 2016, that was like the awakening. That was like, okay, I can see it, I can feel it. And I know, I just really held on to the knowing of this isn't just the drug.
Right.
Like I knew.
Because tons of people take the drug and don't have the experience you had.
Right. Yeah. Well, that was most of the experience of like the people that I hung out with. And I was like, but wait, aren't we doing the same? We're doing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And then that was when I realized like, oh, yeah, we're moving on. We got to move on.
Yeah.
And what I'm feeling now as a whole or as a collective is we are understanding that it's not up and out of our bodies or these, godly experiences, but it is the God in I'm doing my laundry today, or I'm doing my biology homework. And that's like where the juice is, our engagement with life.
My brother recently told me that CEOs of like big companies in Japan at the end of their day will clean every single toilet in their facility.
Wow.
Golf clap.
I mean, that's where I got my best ideas when I was cleaning toilets. And that's also where I started in every house. I would start with I'm going straight to the bathroom. I'm going to clean the toilet first.
Yeah.
There's parallels.
Oracle.
That's also where ideas come to me, like when I'm sitting on the toilet and I'm just like, me and God, and I'm pooping,
Like, there's a drain happening, a suction.
Right. And a release.
That perineum.
Today's podcast episode is brought to you by the root chakra. And the perineum.
Exactly.
CEO of the root chakra is the perineum. Mr. Perineum.
Be kind. The perineum.
But actually, like, this is where, like, even if you have an undefined root, which I have an undefined root, it's like, that does.
I'm the root. I'm actually the root rep.
The only root. You're the only rooted one here.
Without that,
listen, I was gonna say it actually shows, Karen.
Can you
actually shows. Well, yes, because we are all, the rest of us are the result of,
thank God I'm here. Oh my gosh.
Well, I say that about my Taurus moon. Like my Taurus moon is like, oh, I love
my Venus and Taurus. And
Gemini everywhere.
We gotta be rooted.
Yeah, it's like the very first energy healing session I had was just like, there's nothing going on in your root chakra. And this is before I knew human design, and I was like, and she was like, yeah, grounding is going to be your greatest ally in your life. And I'm just now getting around to taking that advice seriously and recognizing that, like, because I don't have definition here, things are just coming in like randomly. And it's like all this pressure. And if I don't have like the regular practice of grounding my body at the state that it is, pressure destabilizes me so fucking fast. I've, been tracking where I lose power, like a hot hawk, not like a over vigilant, like where do I lose power kind of thing, but like, where is it? That I can see all the connection. And yeah, like anytime I feel pressure, it's like the first thing I want to do is like, somebody else, take the lead, take control, tell me what to do. Like, I don't know what to do, or, whatever, or I'll defer to you because
like the channel, the root channel that I have is about timing and like knowing when things actually need to be done. And I feel like a lot of open roots, like even Violet, when you were talking about like, yeah, I've got to like, my timeline is not, it's not, the full extent of the vision is not happening now. Like I still have to go through my biology homework and the chop wood carry water of it. And I feel like, I live with a defined root, and you can see how it's like that pressure is like, everything has to happen now.
Yes.
Or like, it's like, like
literally
we got to do this and we got to do this and we got to do this. And it's like the truth of life is that like it happens when it happens. But it's kind of annoying. Like even with a defined route, like I leave things to the last minute pretty much. Like all of my big work projects or my planning happens like the night before. I wouldn't recommend that to an undefined route, because that whole time you won't be able to relax. But I can't, like, it weirds out my brain, but I can just like sit on my hands for a year and then complete the project like that. And I think like manifestors have that ability to create a lot in a short amount of time, but there's something to be said for like tending the undefined route, flushing it out, like giving it support. I just think it seems quite like it presents conditioning in the root seems like, I say this like as the conditioning agent, I guess. It's like a stressy kind of, it's very rabbit in Winnie the Pooh.
totally that. Oh my
After
God.
moving several times in one day, I feel like I've kind of
Rosen, darling.
Rosen. That whiffy.
Hello.
Your whiffy got
Hello.
squiffy.
There you are.
They're watching Interstellar on the big TV, and I'm blaming that.
I love Interstellar.
Who doesn't love Interstellar?
It's like my
It
favorite.
was really sad.
Could you point your camera to the TV? So no, I'm just kidding.
In the other
Let's
room,
all
darling.
Well, I want to hear what you're saying.
Happening, and that's why I was like pounding my heart earlier, because it was the scene where he was leaving, and she's like running out of the house, and I was like, I can't handle it.
I would like to hear what you were saying about something you do things in a day.
Well, after moving more than once in like 1 day or 2 days, my brother keeps being like, she's not ready to move. And I'm like, bitch, watch me.
Yeah. Like I got this down.
And just looking back on like commission projects, that's been a thread too of like, I'm not going to do it until like the last few days. And then I have like a wedding worth of stuff to paint. And then it all happens like overnight. And it's like, here you go.
Just ship that straight out the perennial.
Fresh. Still smells.
I'm sorry.
Oh, don't ever.
Like
So
paint. It
sorry.
still smells like paint.
Still smells like
God.
taint.
Paint.
Stop it, Karen.
I like
Paint.
sort of misheard, but also just wanted the laughs.
You got him.
The open heart has entered the chat. Like,
Oh, I love your microphone, darling.
oh, hello.
My mom bought me a tape recorder, and it came with this cute. It doesn't work in my
It's
laptop, but I still have it here.
It's like a supermarket one. Like, clean up on aisle 5.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like we're done recording. That's my feeling. And we can just hang out
Yeah.
for a few more minutes.